Wei Yan was demoted to a commoner for abusing his wife. Xia Yiwei was granted a divorce, and the Wei family was ordered to pay a large sum in compensation. As for Xia Chengyuan, he was fined 3 months of his salary for breaking into a private residence. "Thank you, Miss Liu," Xia Yiwei said when she came to bid me farewell, now dressed in a light pink robe. "If it weren't for you, I might have." "Don't say that," I took her hand. "The real credit goes to you for finding the courage to escape. That's the most admirable thing." After sending Xia Yiwei off, I was about to leave when I heard footsteps behind me. "Miss Liu." It was Xia Chengyuan's voice. I turned around to see him standing in the corridor, his expression complicated. "Thank you this time. If it weren't for the evidence you gathered." "There's no need to thank me," I replied coolly. "I simply helped the righteous cause." "I understand now." He was silent for a moment. "Before, I was too stubborn. Women, they don't always need protection." I was taken aback, then smiled. "If you've realized that, then perhaps those deducted wages weren't for nothing." "You." He reverted to his usual banter with me, but his eyes had softened considerably. At that moment, Atu came running over in a panic. "Miss. There's trouble at the border." "The border?" Xia Chengyuan and I both exclaimed in surprise. "Yes. The Jin Kingdom has sent emissaries demanding higher transit taxes. If we don't comply, they'll..." My heart sank. This was serious. Most of the Liu family's business passed through the border. If the Jin Kingdom really imposed higher taxes, the losses would be immense. Xia Chengyuan seemed to sense my concern. "Miss Liu, we need to discuss this carefully." I looked into his earnest eyes and nodded. Little did I know, this border crisis would become the turning point that forever changed our relationship. An additional 30% tax? I looked at the document in my hands, incredulous. The Jin Kingdom is being outrageously greedy. In the late-night office, Xia Chengyuan was studying a map. It's not just the tax increase. They also want to set up more checkpoints at the border. It's clear they intend to strangle our trade routes. Ever since the Jin envoy arrived, Xia Chengyuan and I had put aside our past conflicts to work together against this crisis. To my surprise, he was rather charming when focused on work. "What did you say?" He suddenly looked up. Only then did I realize I had spoken my thoughts aloud. I quickly coughed to cover it up. I said, "This document is cute." "Li Mingshan." He glared at me. "This is serious, and you're still joking?" I stifled my smile and stepped toward the map. "Don't be so hasty, Lord Xia. From what I see, the Jin Kingdom is not here for money." "Oh?" He raised an eyebrow. "Tell me your thoughts." I pointed at the map. "Look, the checkpoints they want to set up are all in these locations." "That's right, strategically blocking the trade routes." His voice trailed off. I continued his thought. "And these places are key military locations." Xia Chengyuan's eyes lit up. "You're saying they're using trade as a cover for military movement?" "Exactly," I nodded. "Once these checkpoints are built, the Jin Kingdom's spies could station themselves openly along our main roads." He stared at the map in deep thought for a long time. "But this is just our speculation. The court might not believe it. That's why we need to find a way for the Jin envoy to expose themselves," I said, a sly glint in my eye. Xia Chengyuan looked at me warily. "You're not thinking of..." "Exactly." I smiled. "I'm going to meet this Jin envoy." "No way." He immediately objected. "It's too dangerous." I was caught off guard. It was the first time I had heard him speak in that tone, as if he were worried. "Is Lord Xia afraid I can't handle it?" I teased. "That's not what I meant," he looked embarrassed. "It's just, after all, you're a woman?" I raised an eyebrow. No. He quickly waved his hands. I mean, going alone is too dangerous. Why don't I accompany you? His concern warmed my heart, but I still shook my head. No. You're an official, you can't be seen interacting with foreign envoys without reason. It's more suitable for me. I'm just a merchant, meeting foreign envoys is perfectly normal. He wanted to say more, but I had already started packing my documents. It's settled. If Lord Xia is worried, why not think of ways to support my plan? Seeing his frustrated expression, I couldn't resist adding, what? Are you starting to care about me? Who's caring about you? His face flushed. I'm just worried you'll mess up. I laughed behind my hand. This cold-faced, warm-hearted man was becoming more and more interesting. 3 days later, I met the Jin envoy as planned in a tea house. After a few rounds of drinks, the envoy indeed let something slip. If Miss Liu is willing to cooperate, not only will we waive your trade taxes, but we can also offer you a, he lowered his voice, quartermaster position. I feigned excitement. Quartermaster? What does that entail? Handling provisions for our people, he said proudly. Of course, under the guise of trade caravans. Internally, I sneered. Just as I suspected, these checkpoints were intended to support military supplies. At that moment, there was a commotion outside. Catch the spy! Catch the spy! A booming voice rang out as Xia Chengyuan stormed in with officers. I panicked. This wasn't part of the plan. That brute, why did he act early? The Jin envoy's face turned ashen, and he bellowed, how dare you? You! I quickly stood up to defuse the situation, but Xia Chengyuan rushed over in just a few strides and blocked me. Miss Liu, are you all right? Looking into his anxious eyes, I suddenly understood. This fool must have been hiding outside the whole time, worried about me. How dare you, the Jin envoy roared in fury. I am a Jin envoy, and you risk breaking diplomatic ties. Envoy, you must be joking, I calmly pulled a letter from my sleeve. This is the letter you just handed me, asking me to deliver it to the border generals. I wonder if it contains a list of military supplies. The envoy's face turned deathly pale. Xia Chengyuan immediately understood, stepping forward to seize the letter. Guards, escort this envoy to the yamen for questioning. Once the men had been taken away, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Lord Xia, such a dramatic entrance, perfectly timed. You! He suddenly spun around, his eyes flaring with anger. Do you realize how dangerous that was? If he had tried to. I knew what I was doing, I said, turning my head to avoid his intense gaze. Knew what you were doing? He let out a cold laugh. Did you know that I saw them putting something into your teacup? What? Now it was my turn to be shocked. Luckily, I was watching from the next room. He took a deep breath. Otherwise. So, Lord Xia was worried about me? I teased. This time, he didn't deny it. Instead, he looked at me earnestly. Yes, I was worried about you. My heart skipped a beat. Li Mingshan, he said slowly, emphasizing each word, promise me, don't take such risks again. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. The moonlight spilled through the window, casting a glow on his resolute face. At that moment, I realized that the man I once found so annoying wasn't quite so irritating anymore. All right, I whispered in agreement. In the end, the crisis was resolved perfectly. The Jin envoy's true identity was exposed, and their plot thwarted. Instead of raising taxes, the court reduced the border tariffs to console the merchants. Miss Liu. Xia Yue ran over joyfully. Congratulations. Congratulations for what? I asked, smiling. Why, for you and my brother, of course. Go. I playfully scolded her. Nothing of the sort. But deep down, I knew something had indeed shifted between Xia Chengyuan and me. Like the gentle spring breeze, softly melting the ice between us. Miss, something terrible has happened. A two hurriedly rushed in. Those people are posting proclamations at the city gate again. I put down the account book in my hands, and a cold glint flashed in my eyes. Ever since the border crisis, a faction of people, using the name of proper etiquette, had appeared in the capital, constantly targeting me and other women in business. What have they written this time? They say Miss Liu has colluded with court officials, intending to, Tu hesitated. Go on. They say you intend to disrupt the court and lead women to abandon proper conduct. I sneered. These people could not bear to see women succeed. Just a few days ago, they had forced the embroidery shop across the street to close, and now they had come to make trouble for me. Miss, what should we do? Tu asked worriedly. I was about to answer when suddenly, a commotion broke out outside. Catch her. Don't let her escape. I quickly walked to the courtyard gate and saw a young woman running in disheveled, followed by several menacing men. Miss Liu, help! The woman rushed forward and grabbed my leg. Stop. I stepped in front of her. This is the Liu family. You have no right to do this. Miss Liu, mind your own business. The leading man sneered. This is a family matter. She's my sister. She left home to do business and has ruined the family's reputation. I'm here to take her back. I looked closely and saw that the woman's hands were covered in fresh wounds, clearly signs of abuse. Since she's come to the Liu family, it's no longer a family matter. I said coldly, Tu, go and invite Lord Xia. Invite Lord Xia? The man scoffed. Lord Xia is now the director of the Rituals Bureau, who values property above all else. Do you think he'll help you? I felt a tightening in my chest. He was right. Xia Chengyuan had just been promoted to the director of the Rituals Bureau. This position was responsible for overseeing all matters related to propriety and etiquette. But I gritted my teeth and said, we'll see. To my surprise, it wasn't long before Xia Chengyuan actually arrived. What's going on? He was dressed in official robes, his expression cold. The man quickly stepped forward. Lord Xia, please see. I'm here to find my sister. She's not following the proper ways. She insisted on doing business. Enough. I interrupted angrily. You're interfering too much. Miss Liu, Xia Chengyuan suddenly cut me off, his voice stern, I'll handle this. I froze. What did he mean by that? He walked up to the woman and asked, did you willingly engage in business? Yes. The woman looked up, her voice trembling but firm. I just wanted to help support my family. Was anyone forcing you? No. It's what I wanted to do. Xia Chengyuan turned and looked at the man. If that's the case, why are you forcing her to go back? The man was speechless. The rituals say children should be filial, and brothers should care for their sisters, Xia Chengyuan said coldly. But they never said a brother should break his sister's limbs. Guards, arrest these thugs. I looked at him in surprise. This man always seems to amaze me at crucial moments. Once everything was settled, he walked over to me. Miss Liu, are you satisfied with my handling? Lord Xia, I didn't know what to say. Do you think that now I've become the director of the Rituals Bureau, I'll side with those conservative forces? He whispered, if I weren't in this position, how could I help you? A warmth spread through my heart. So Lord Xia is playing a long game? No, he looked into my eyes. I just want to make things easier for you. My heart skipped a beat. Lord Xia, what do you mean by that? Just as he was about to say something, hurried footsteps echoed outside. Not good. Young Zhengke rushed in. Someone in the court has impeached Miss Liu, accusing her of colluding with officials and corrupting public morals. Xia Chengyuan and I exchanged a glance, both seeing the gravity in each other's eyes. It seemed that the real storm was only just beginning. You can't go. Summer Chengyuan blocked my way. The court is full of intrigue. You alone. I must go. I stared him down. Do you want me to just watch them slander me, and all women who wish to live for themselves? At today's morning court, Summer Chongqing, the Minister of Rights, personally accused me of not adhering to the traditional woman's role and corrupting the female image. Worse yet, he claimed I was colluding with officials to disrupt the government. I must go, I repeated firmly. Let me accompany you, he said, grabbing my wrist. No, I broke free from his grasp. Because of me, you've already been the subject of gossip. This time, I must face this on my own. A cool breeze swept through as I stood outside the Hall of Supreme Harmony, adjusting my male attire. That's right. I was going to present myself in men's clothing, showing these officials that the supposed boundaries between men and women were merely lines drawn by their own prejudices. Your Majesty, this woman from the Liu family is truly too much. Summer Chongqing was brimming with righteous indignation. There are now more than 10 shops in the capital run by women. They refuse to be humble, and instead, they openly display themselves. What kind of example is that? I stepped forward. I begged to ask, how exactly does a woman doing business damage propriety? The court erupted into murmurs. How dare you? Summer Chongqing pointed at me. You even dare to enter the palace dressed as a man. You and your kind have no shame. Yes, I have no shame, I retorted coldly. But may I ask, Minister Summer, is it men who weave your silks and brocades at home? And don't the women in your household also do needlework every day? That. Then why is it that when they do needlework, it is virtuous, but when we do business, it is unseemly? I scanned the other officials. Do you gentlemen know that in Jiangnan, the majority of the silk industry is managed by women? Without them, your families might not even be able to afford decent clothes. A few of the officials looked thoughtful. I pressed on, moreover, if a businesswoman is accused of violating propriety, what about the women who are abused by their husbands? Minister Summer, I believe you still remember your niece, Summer Ware's case, don't you? Summer Chongqing's expression changed. You. At that moment, there was a commotion outside the hall. I have a report. It was Summer Chengyuan's voice. That fool, why did he still come? He strode in, holding a stack of documents. Your Majesty, these are detailed records of female merchants in recent years. Since women were allowed to engage in business, the tax revenue of our great Zhou has increased by 30%, and the livelihoods of the people have greatly improved. He paused. As for this so-called corruption of women's virtue, he took out a letter. This is a letter personally written by the Empress. She says that when buying goods for the palace, she prefers dealing with female merchants, because their products are both high quality and reasonably priced. The court was once again in an uproar. The Empress's support was a strong endorsement for us. Furthermore, he looked coldly at Summer Chongqing. Some people have secretly been harassing female merchants, trying to force them to shut down. These are the true culprits of moral decay. You. Summer Chongqing flew into a rage. Summer Chengyuan, don't forget your place. Precisely because I remember my place, I am speaking these words, Summer Chengyuan said loudly. The purpose of propriety is to educate, not to restrict. If we don't understand this basic principle, that is the real disgrace. At last, the emperor spoke. What Minister Summer says is right. Propriety should be enlightened, not rigid. Over these years, female merchants have not only filled the state coffers, but also helped many impoverished women to support themselves. I see no reason to ban such a virtuous practice. He waved his hand. This matter is resolved. Summer Chongqing, you will go back to the Ministry of Rights and reflect on your actions. As we exited the Hall of Supreme Harmony, Summer Cheng-Yuan caught up with me. "Miss Liu, what are you doing here?" I asked, irritated. He hesitated. "I was afraid you." "Afraid I couldn't handle it?" "No," he suddenly became serious. "I was afraid you'd be too burdened by facing it alone." I froze. Lu Mingshan. He took a deep breath. "I know you're strong, but I still want to protect you. Not because you're a woman, but because..." "Because what?" My heart skipped a beat. "Because you are you." He looked into my eyes. "I admire the way you are. Whether in the marketplace, strategizing, or in the court, standing your ground. You've shown me that women can shine just as brightly." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Summer Cheng-Yuan, you..." "I want to marry you," he said solemnly. "Not because you need my protection, but because I want to walk beside you. Will you accept?" Tears finally fell. This man, who once held stubborn views, had finally learned to truly respect and appreciate a woman. "If you dare abandon me," I choked out. "Then you can ruin me in the marketplace." He smiled and wiped away my tears. "After all, this isn't the first time you've done it. You dare bring that up?" I slapped him. The sunlight was perfect, shining down on us. In that moment, I knew that we could finally put down all our prejudices and truly walk forward together. "What did you say? You're going to give the shops to those impoverished women?" Summer Cheng-Yuan looked at me in shock. "I was counting the contracts for the shops." "What? Are you regretting marrying me?" "No," he laughed helplessly. "It's just that you're, too." "Too what?" I raised an eyebrow. "Too good." He walked over and wrapped his arms around me from behind. "My wife is not only beautiful, but she's also so kind-hearted." I snorted softly. Ever since our engagement, this man had become more and more mischievous. But he wasn't wrong. I did indeed plan to give part of the shops to women in need of help. Do you remember the debate in the court that day? I leaned against him. At the time, I was thinking, how many women like me long for freedom? They just lack an opportunity, a chance to change their fate. He tightened his arms around me. "So you plan to be the one to give them that opportunity? Are you going to stop me?" "No," he said softly, "I want to help you. I have some connections in the ritual education department. I can help them with their affairs." I turned to look at him. "So, you're going to assist in helping the bad guys?" "This is called helping others," he teased, scratching my nose. "Besides, didn't we agree that we should work together to make this world a better place?" My heart warmed. This once stubborn man had now become my greatest supporter. The wedding date was set for the spring, when the flowers bloomed. Miss Lady Xia sent over the dowry list. Tu held the list, hesitating. "What is it?" Lady Xia said, "Since you plan to continue managing the business, why not?" She trailed off. "Why not what?" "Why not change the dowry into shops and businesses from various places?" Tu smiled. Lady Xia said, "This is more fitting for your status." I was stunned. I hadn't expected Lady Xia to be so open-minded. "Mother is right," Summer Cheng-Yuan said, having entered the room without me noticing. "My mother has always believed that if a woman has talent, she should show it." Suddenly, I understood. "So, you..." "Yes, my prejudice was actually something I imposed on myself," he smiled bitterly. "Fortunately, I met you, and you made me understand what real ethics are." On the day of the wedding, the whole capital was in an uproar. Not for anything else, but because this was the first time a government official had personally gone to pick up a merchant's daughter. What made it even more eye-catching was that Summer Cheng-Yuan had specially added a clause to the marriage certificate: "My wife shall never be restricted from engaging in business." "From now on, we are one family," Lady Xia said, holding my hand affectionately. "You continue doing what you want to do. Don't compromise yourself." My eyes welled up. Thank you, Mother. All right, stop crying, Summer Chang-yuan said, distressed, wiping my tears. If people outside see a businesswoman crying, who knows what rumors they'll spread. You still dare to laugh at me? I glared at him. I wouldn't dare, he laughed, dodging. I'm just worried you might use your business tactics to get back at me later. Laughter filled the room. After the wedding, Summer Chang-yuan and I truly worked hand in hand, just as he had said. I continued managing the business while he defended the rights of female merchants in the court. We even established a business school dedicated to teaching women who wanted to engage in trade. Gradually, more and more women opened businesses in the capital. Some did it to support their families, others to pursue their dreams. But without exception, they were all proving in their own way that a woman's sky should never have limits. Mother. Our daughter ran in happily. I want to learn about business too. Summer Chang-yuan and I exchanged a smile. Looking at our daughter's innocent face, I knew our efforts had not been in vain. In this gradually more enlightened world, she would be able to pursue her dreams without any hesitation. And this was our best ending.